Good morning. This morning I'm down in the huerto, kitchen garden, which is one of the furthest points from the house. It's 2 kilometers, but it does have this. I think this is probably one of the largest open areas. Flat. One of the largest open flat areas for planting that we have. And also, as you may well know if you've seen the video on restoring the water reservoir and irrigation, it is served by this 27,000 litre water reservoir. The water for which comes from a spring just up there. So it is, although it's a long way from the house, it is a good spot for planting. So it's towards the end of October, and in these 3 containers I have vetch, winter rye and triticale, or triticale, I'm not sure how you want to pronounce it. So these are 3 winter cover crops designed for soil improvement or forage, but in this case for us it's soil improvement. It's about fixing nitrogen and getting that back into the soil, and chopping and dropping and getting some organic material also back into the soil, planting through what we chop and drop. So I have only done about a third. I've only tilled about a third of the area that we've got down here. That white that you see isn't snow. That is agricultural lime that I'm putting down on all of the newly tilled areas. I've still got the rest of this to do, but I thought it was better to get started on something that I'd cleared the stones from than not start at all. So I've decided to turn this into a bit of an experiment, because you're never quite sure how things are going to take. I mean, you can read up a lot on each of those, on the winter rye, on the triticale and on the vetch, but every site has its peculiarities with climate and soil. So I have decided to make this first planting of winter cover crops an experiment, and I am planting winter rye. Actually, I've planted here in this stretch here, triticale I have planted from the beginning down there up to about here. I've got vetch in this stretch here, and also vetch in the last thin strip between the bracken. And now I'm going to plant a mixture, because often vetch is mixed with another cover crop. It works quite well as a mixture, but I wanted to try it on its own. So I'm going to plant where those hollyoaks are on that strip there. I'm going to plant a mixture of vetch and triticale, and then here in this wider section here I'm going to plant 2 strips lengthways. One is going to be some more winter rye on that side furthest away from this other winter rye, and triticale along here. So that way we'll get to see how each one does also how the mix works. So just so you know, this is the triticale, which is a hybrid of wheat and rye, a recent hybrid, because all wheat really has been bred, but wheat, all cereals, I mean, but wheat, barley, etc. Centuries, whereas the centuries old, whereas this triticale is only a couple of hundred years old, or 150 years old. 1875, I think it was first developed. Makes excellent forage. It's higher in protein, and it takes the best characteristics of wheat and rye and puts them together. So I didn't realise it was going to be that pink colour. Here I've got my mix of vetch, and triticale, and this is the vetch seed, okay, which is rounder, similar to peas but smaller. And then here we have our winter rye, which is what I was expecting to the triticale to look like. It's more of the sort of golden yellowish colour. Now the rye is excellent as a winter cover crop. I planted more up nearer the house, and it within 24 hours I could see roots coming out of one side of the seed, and the first stalk coming out of the other end, only very, very small, and within 48 hours that stalk was about a centimetre long. It's incredible. 48 hours. So I know that's going to do well, and rye is good here because it does put down really deep roots. I think deeper than the triticale and the vetch. So I'm using that actually where it's more clay. This is in fact, as you can see, this is a fabulous, well, I would classify it as clay loam, okay, but it's this gorgeous, it's this really good soil here, because it's not all like that here. There are some more clay soils, and that's where I'm using the rye as a cover crop, to break up that clay deeper down. Well, I'll monitor this, and in a later video, as this comes along, as it comes up. So that's all finished, all sown and raked in as best I can. Winter rye, triticale, betha, betha mix, triticale and winter rye, triticale betha mix, and betha. So now the second part of the work, or the equally important, is I have to protect this from wild animals here, which we have a lot, mostly wild boar, because they go along rooting in the ground with their snouts, with the little horns on it, and if they get in here, they pass through, I don't know, every couple of weeks, every 3 weeks from time to time, on whatever journeys they're doing, they will destroy this, all of this work. So I'm looking at putting an electric fence in, which is a little bit easier, but I've got to get all of this grass down, otherwise it'll create a false earth and won't work. But it's one of the very difficult things working in the middle of the mountains in a remote location is the wildlife, and you have to fence everything off. Very difficult. I was going to fence it off first, which is the sensible thing to do, but as I said, it's late October 29th, and these should really have gone in maybe in September, so it's a bit late to be planting winter cover crops. But here, because the climate is fairly well, considerably warmer than in other places, I'm hoping that I'm going to get away with it, and that everything that I've planted will grow enough before the first frosts to develop a decent root system and a certain amount of foliage in order to protect itself from the real cold when it comes and go into dormancy. It does need a certain root system, certain development of roots and foliage above ground, but I'm hoping that even sowing this in late October will be all right here because of the climate. So yeah, the fencing, but that's why, because that's going to take me probably a week. If I fence it, there's some existing fencing there, but it's very old, and they will push under it, so this will take probably a week to fence. I'm hoping I've got that grace period, and they won't come through before I finish fencing it. But if I put up an electric fence, of course it's going to be considerably quicker, if that works. I haven't tried electric fencing for the wild boar before now. I'm informed that it does, but marketing being what it is, we'll have to see if that's true.